before I get into this video, I need to be honest that I'm probably the last person who should give any insight on the Drake versus Kendrick diss track battle. I understand that if we're trying to put people in line to talk about this battle, at first in line would be Jesus Christ himself, and all the way in the back would be me, but I'm still here because I am inspired. This whole situation, I don't even know all the ins and outs or the history and all the ways that you can connect things here, but I was inspired to share some content with you all today. And I'm not going to stay here too long because I understand this is not my domain, but there is so much going on here that I think that we need to sit, relax, and listen to what's going on here. So I imagine that so many people are following this track. It's very powerful. I mean, it brought me, I said, what? Who? I need to hear it again. It taught me so much about the culture and how culture changes and just how we respond to culture and how music is so embedded in expression and creativity and as well as social justice. And I said, I like creativity, social justice. And so I want to share with you 10 takeaways from what I've gathered so far with this diss track. I'm going to start off with J. Cole because J. Cole is from North Carolina and he gave North Carolina. He definitely gave North Carolina because I need to know when to remove myself from a situation because I don't have to be a part of all of the slaughter. If there's a situation that might get me slaughtered and I can see that, I want to use my godly judgment and remove myself from the situation. Amen. Amen. So I was thankful for J. Cole's decision to back out and to apologize because I believe that takes a different type of strength, of manhood, to say, I'm not going to involve myself because I know myself and I want to evolve myself. That's what I took away from that. But apparently J. Cole removing himself from this situation was disrespectful or it made him seem weak. Now, this is a question that I have for people. Are there situations that you involve yourself in? You know you're going to slaughter yourself by choosing this, but you decide to get into the game anyway because of ego, because of lack of discernment, because of pride. I don't know. But sometimes it could be those things, and other times it could be, I just want to try my best to see if I can win this war and this battle. Now for me, and in my house, there's some wars and some battles that I just give all the way to the Lord because I'm done fighting and getting slaughtered out here in these streets.
I need to call God real quick. Hey God, I don't know what I did to deserve this, Jesus. You know, it's me, it's your girl. But you keep bringing snacks, and I'm starving, so thank you. In the Father's name, amen.
But for some, it's part of the game that we play called life. To get in there and to try your best and to get slaughtered and to go against competition so that you know how to better yourself the next time. So that is, off the top of my head, what I wanted to say about that. Now I want to get into these 10 takeaways. I hope y'all was listening to all the things. Now, I, being someone who don't know a lot about this battle, right? I don't listen to a lot of Drake. I listen to Kendrick. Someone exposed Kendrick to me a few years ago and I said, oh, I like this. Yes. But I'm not, I'm not all the way in there. Just give me some instrumentals and I'll give myself a song. But when I'm listening to all of these tracks that came out recently and I'm listening to some commentary on there, all I thought was the Bible and God. Did y'all get that? I just kept thinking, ooh, God is here. Like, do y'all not see that this is a lesson from God? So let me start off with the first lesson. The first lesson I had to draw from this because I'm all about love. Like, I really do want to only see all of the love scriptures in the Bible. I just want to hold on to love and peace. However, I was reminded that God hates too. So do you remember there's a session that Kendrick Lamar is saying, no, I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk, boom, 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 right? So I'm thinking, wow, God be hating the way that people walk and talk too when they be walking and talking and they just, being disrespectful, or they walk with a haughty look, or they walk like they better than people, or they lie with their tongue. Those are things that God hates too. So I decided to bring in a little scripture. It's not going to be that long. Just give me these first two and then we're going to go through the other ones. So this first one is Proverbs 6:16-19, where it says, these 6 things doeth the Lord hate. Yes, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, and a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift and run into mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. So, did y'all see it? I saw it. The connections are connecting. They are connecting. connecting. So of course I completely committed myself to learning a little bit more about this. Not too much because, well, it's a lot. But I started to go on. I said, well, that reminded me. So I'm in Proverbs and like, oh, you know what? You know who was doing diss tracks? King David. King David was doing diss tracks. So this is the second thing that it reminded me of. Things are my takeaways. King David was doing diss tracks, and I tried to find like one of the dissiest tracks that King David had in the Psalms, because you know that Psalms are songs. We know that Psalms is the expression. We are using this art because sometimes we get so angry, right? But we got to keep the anger godly. We get so angry, and we actually take the actual sword and we start swiping people, right? And we kill them. But we can express that anger in a different way, like we do here in art, where we just use our words, right? We go, So here's an example of King David and how he does his slaughtering in the Psalms. He says in Psalms 149 through 10, King James Version, as for the head of those that compass me about, let the mischief of their own lips cover them. Let burning coals fall upon them. Ooh, that's crazy. Let them be cast into the fire. Why? David, why did they need to be cast into the fire? Into deep pits, that they rise not up again. I think we saw this through words, through this art, this expression between Kendrick and Drake so far. So today is Sunday, May 9th at 9:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have no idea if there's going to be any more drops, because by the time this posts, I might be late to any more drops. But at this point, I think the last record that was dropped, I'll just put that on the screen right now. This is where we are right now. One thing before I go into these next points, I'm at 2. I got just a little bit more, but I'm not gonna be there that long. So this next one, a third takeaway, is exploring authenticity versus artificial intelligence. And when I think about artificial intelligence, of course, we're thinking about AI, all the different things that we can use in order to advance technology and to enhance this experience on Earth if we use it properly and for the places that it needs to be. But when it comes to creativity, authenticity is more admired, because who wants a robot doing spoken word? No one. When I thought about this, of course, we're thinking about the track that Drake created, and this is before the battle just started battling. So I was like, oh, that's creative. He used the voice variation, and that was interesting. Okay, I'm invested. So I heard that, and then I heard Euphoria. You know what Euphoria did? It connected me back to my roots. Because we have gotten so entrenched or so excited about artificial intelligence. We're in a battle whether or not it's good or bad. But this reminded me that we all have a soul and a spirit. And I think being a part of a culture of soul and spirit, that you can feel it, that is seen through music. So when Euphoria came out, I said, ooh, So first off, the choice in music just brought me back to my childhood, because if you're a child in the Black community and you ever had to clean your home and it was a Saturday, you're listening to old school music. There's just a feeling that just roams through your body with listening to the soul of someone's expression and their love. And I love the fact that we are thinking about using this music and edification at the same time, exposing ourselves to social justice. This is the genius that I see in Kendrick Lamar. Is I don't know what's going on in his life. I think people have talked about what's going on in his life. There are things that he has done that's invalid. We don't like it. But when you got a gift, you just got a gift. And if you're trying your best to use that gift as best as you can, this will be the way to do it. To just dismantle all of the injustices that supposedly are happening. So do it with love music, okay? Do it with love and soul music. This next one, it hits the social justice that we need in our lives, especially because my assumption, and let me know if I'm incorrect, my assumption is that people who are into diss tracks, who are into the Drake and Kendrick battle are diverse, right? We're talking about all different type of people, but I have a feeling that there are a lot of men who might not be taking care of their children. They might not be taking care of their offspring, the seed, the decision that they made. They might not be doing that, but they are listening to these tracks. They listen to the tracks. And my assumption, because I could be wrong, I could be wrong. But I believe they're probably listening to the tracks and they're thinking, yo, he fired him. He cut him up. He hit him. But this is when that self-awareness comes in. Are you one of those men? I'm not saying all men listening to this because we do not use words like all, as we know everybody in America. But are you one of those men who are listening to these diss tracks, so invested in all the things, but have not intentionally invested in your children's well-being, upbringing, the lessons that they need to be taught because you are their father? Okay, that's some things I'm taking away. So I had titled this one, Fathers Should Be Inspired to Take Care of Their Children, or Their Children Will Listen to Meet the Grams at the age of 18. For some reason, I thought that was a bar. I was like, ooh, put it out there, girl, put it out there. But for real. Okay, we'll move on because I know that's a heavy social topic that some people, it's just too heavy to hold. Before we just slide over this one, I just gotta give a scripture. This is 1 Timothy 5:8. That's also encouraging us all to take care of our children. 1 Timothy 5:8 says, but if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Y'all know what an infidel is, of course, because we've been talking about it through this too, but that's none of my business. My business is thinking on the good, okay? Practicing thinking on the good, doing my best to be a different person. Because I think when I think about diss tracks and I think about people who are advocates and people who are warriors, I think we all have a place. Just because I decide to choose to look at the good doesn't mean that I don't admire or know that different places, different people have different places as it relates to this whole body and getting us all together. So now this next one, and this is, I have no idea what's going on here. I do not know, but I'm going to put it on the screen. Please, this might be a trigger for those who are still practicing self-awareness and control of their tongue and control of their mind. This might be a trigger, but I want to talk about this. And I'm going to say, this is the title I'm going to say, Colorism is a Strong Idol. And I want to say that colorism is a strong idol because we're going throughout this track and we're talking about, of course, the color of the parties in place, but we're also talking about the color of Kendrick's wife or fiance. And we are now making it seem that because Kendrick is pro-Black and that he wants to speak on these terms, that he has to make it so that his woman is dark-skinned. This is weird because the community itself has all different shades of brown. We're not even Black if we want to talk about it. If we're looking at colors, the way that they taught us colors, at least if we're going to just be consistent, this is Black and this is brown, right? We are all different shades of brown and we can get closer to Black, but we're all different shades of brown. The color of our skin doesn't make a person love better. It doesn't make them think better. It doesn't make them have a certain chemistry or a bond. It doesn't make a person evil because they're lighter. It doesn't absolutely make a person that's darker better or a person that's whiter better. This is weird. This is weird. And I know we're going in between two different topics and I want to come back to colorism, but just the fact that our first go-to is to attack someone's color is weird instead of saying, I wonder if he loves that woman. I wonder if they have a good relationship. I wonder if he's loyal to the woman. Like, these are the questions that should be stronger than, oh, the color of her doesn't match his advocacy. Because then that's going to be reversed. That means that we should only be focused on dark-skinned people as it relates to justice. But there are people who are lighter and considered Black in this American culture that might have more privileges. Yes, but are we upset because they have privileges? Isn't it the fact that we also want to have the privileges? They might have a little bit more than you, but I don't know. I'm not gonna go too deep in that.
Trust me. Leave this alone.
This was a takeaway that I think that we should all learn from the diss tracks. That's it. This next one, this is just a question because it was brought up in this track. Are Black women still the most hated, or are they the most hated? This is an interesting topic because when you're looking through YouTube and you're looking through the different spheres, there's an idea that Black women aren't hated because they're able to say anything that they want, that they can say anything to dismantle the Black man. They don't give men any credit. There's a patriarchy and we're just all mad. But we have the place to express these things as we like as Black women. And that's part of us being women. Women are sitting around and they're talking and they're expressing their emotions and feelings. And in my limited view, because someone's going to tell me that that's not what we do. But I would expect that if we all are designed for a particular reason, We could be designed based off of social constructs that we have to acknowledge. We need to bring that into the conversation. And we also have to acknowledge that we might have some design to us that allows us to work together in a society with our differences. So, for instance, if a woman is more emotional, we will want her to be more emotional because she's nurturing the household and those involved in the household, or that's just part of the equation. And if a man is strong and doing these things for us that are manly, we can appreciate these things, right? I'm not sure if this is all hitting home. I know these are discussions that we have over and over again, but because of the diss track, I put it on my list of takeaways that we are still talking about Black women being hated, especially because the track talked about how Drake approaches Black women and the representation of Black women. And I think this is important because although we don't always have to align with a label that's been given to us, we don't all have to see a group of Black women do one thing and say all Black women are that way. I think we are more intelligent. You know, if we're using artificial intelligence, we might not be able to tap into that emotional intelligence and realize that all people aren't the same, that we can't group people in the same bucket. But if we're going to do that, if we're going to play the game, and we're going to say that the representation of Black women in Drake's video is a disjustice, we have to be loud about it, because these are the people who are sharing so much of the media space. And with that, those who aren't privy to other people's cultures, who are not diverse and are in a little bucket of experiences, they will look at something like this on mainstream, and then their limited mindset would say, oh, all women or all Black women are this way, and they might treat them that way. This is how important our behaviors and our decisions are in the world, is we all contribute, but we also have a choice. So the woman who decides to be in a video and be seen this way also had a choice. So we have to be fair on both sides. There's the choice to be involved, and there's the choice to give me a word. There's a choice to promote it. I can't think of another word. This next one is, the takeaway is DEI. So there's a line that Kendrick says that that you're not my colleague, you're a colonizer. I might be saying that wrong, so I'll put it on the screen correctly. But this reminded me of DEI because I feel like diversity, equity, and inclusion makes it feel like we aren't colleagues, that we aren't respected for our different gifts, that there is some type of control when it comes to maybe corporate America and the dominant race, that makes it feel like I cannot be myself or express myself as myself. And so we're still having that conversation, and so I wrote it on a list. I'm not going to go too far in that. I might do it in another video because I like DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion conversations. All right, so this next one, therapy is needed. The inner childhood issues need to be addressed. Kendrick exposes this takeaway for me because he's talking to Drake in his song, and this section is called Dear Aubrey, which is Drake's first name. And he's talking about he's a 37-year-old man, but he's still acting like a 7-year-old. And this is not only Drake, this is also me. I'm not 37, but I am a grown woman, and sometimes I can see the little girl inside of me. She's like, I just wanted to be loved. And I think a lot of us are still operating from a childlike view because there's some things that we haven't addressed. And it's really a challenge because we don't have proper households, or even if we don't have the man and a woman in our household, right? And we're saying that this is the structure that provides the best outcome. There's something about just practicing forgiveness, practicing how to use our tongue, practicing cooperation, that even if a man and woman aren't in the same household, that they should be able to do, because it's just decency. This is how you keep order. This is how you make it so that the children don't have to heal from childhood traumas. A lot of us are doing that, and you can see that online. The way that we go back and forth is not like an adult. It's not like an adult. It's not like a mature being. It's like little children. So this is my question for anyone that's involved in the diss tracks or interested is, do you see your childhood issues? Do you see how you could be an adult age but acting like a child age? I don't know. Just something on my takeaway list of takeaways from the diss track between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Okay, next one. I got two more. I'm always there. All right, so this next one says, men should protect women if men won't protect women. Ooh. Let me say it again. Let's slow it down. Men should protect women even if men won't protect women. Now, the thing here is I probably should change the last man or men to boys because, again, we're thinking about young boys still operating from a childlike sense and women operating from a childlike sense. It's a maturity that goes along the journey when we have disagreements, because sometimes we make these arrangements with marriages that are in our youth mindset without any guidance because we are products of our parents and their traumas, and that could go far beyond. So there's some grace that we can have. But then there has to come a time when we stop being a victim and we take control of our own lives and we change that victim mentality into a victorious state. And with all of these things that we are going through today, that's the common thread, is we don't have to be victims of our colonizers. We don't have to be victims of a diss track. We can choose to leave. We don't even have to be victims if we lose the battle sometimes. We can still keep trying our very best to do things like think on the good or to change our behavior. I know this is starting to get preachy, and I know those who are really into the diss track thing might be like, oh, girl, no. But yes, girl, this is me. Understanding that I might not have any place here in this conversation, but there's inspiration from all of the things in our lives that we can pull from. And that's the story that I want to tell, is what inspiration are you going to pull from your life that's going to allow you to experience heaven on earth? And that's through our mindset, that's through our behavior, that's through our choices, that's through our gifts. We see that Kendrick Lamar definitely has a gift. In my perspective, he's using his gift for social justice. He's using his gift to expose things, and he also used his gift to expose himself. So if you listen to any of Kendrick's tracks, you see that there's some self-awareness and some accountability there. We are not in his home. We are not in his whole experience between him and his family, and we don't have the direct connection to the downloads that he gets from his creator. But we can use all of this inspiration to apply to our own self-awareness journey and see what we can pull from it. So here's my last one, and we are done for the day. I almost didn't make it too long, but it still ended up being long. So I'm glad you're still here. If you're still here, click on that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on the fun. On this channel, I focus on, wait, did I introduce myself? Hey, I'm Dani. I'm a self-investing storyteller, which means I focus on creating content, not only content like social media, but content with our words, our lives, and applying it to my own self-awareness journey using social media and all the topics that we talk about.
Congratulations.
It's very exciting.
That's awesome.
This is my takeaway from the entire experiences, this last one. Words can build you up or murder you, especially when it got a nice beat track behind it. You know, when I thought about King David earlier and I said, wow, all these songs, he's really going against these enemies. Like, he's so mad about these enemies. Like, but I realized that he's expressing himself. He's using creativity. This is songs, poetry. And this is exactly what this track experience is. It's expression, and how we use our expression is important. We can use our expression, one, to really get all those angry feelings out, because we're living this human experience and some of the things that we are experiencing are out of control. But the way that we work through that creativity, I think that is really connected to, I don't know how to say that without saying it incorrectly. So abort mission. All I wanted to say is I learned a lot. I don't have all of the things. I'm pretty sure that there's some more insight that we can take from it. But my goal here is, what insight can you take for yourself? There was a lot of lessons that could be learned. And even though I spoke about men twice in this takeaway, I do believe that when I say that men can protect women, when men don't protect women, I see this when Drake is calling out the things that Black women are saying, and he's hearing them. And that takes someone who's using self-awareness, who's not thinking about it from an emotional state. Because as I look out the internet, and I think to a certain degree, we saw that from Kevin Samuels. And what's funny about how we like drama and how we like all the things. Okay, I'm almost done. If you're going, you could go. Now I want to talk to people who like to talk. Hey. So let's think about Kevin Samuels, right? And a lot of people who follow Kevin Samuels, and a lot of people who are like, Kevin Samuels stood up for Black men. I think that we learn a lot from Kevin Samuels, and there's a beauty in just the transition that happens. Here's the transition that happens. Kevin Samuels started out just speaking to Black men. He started to speak to them directly. He started to give them the guidance on how to be men. And no one really cared. He had little views. And it wasn't until he turned the tables around and exposed exactly what Black men were upset about, which is how Black women dealt with them, that gave him more views. And although we probably can judge, and I'm pretty sure we can judge the way that he says things, there is a practice that I'm using where somebody can say something harsh, even though I don't like when they do it. But if I'm listening to the meat, and if I can apply it, and it's true, because we're exposing lies all 2024, said Kat and God the Father. But if we're listening to the truth and there's something that we can change about it, we have to learn to responsibly respond to our emotions. So although we could feel a certain type of way, there's an opportunity for all of us, men and women, to listen to one another. We're saying things that are valid, and we can't sit here and get upset and mad at one another or call people names or not listen to them and then still expect progress. We have to learn how to listen. That takes emotional skills. You see these skills with our words that we can use to slaughter people? We have to use these same skills to lift ourselves up or to move ourselves forward. The caveat here is that we all are products of trauma and people responding like children. So do you want to make a decision to be more mature, to act like an adult? And if so, you might start to see the fruits that you want to see. We can spend a lot of time on these social issues, going around in circles, trying to correct places that don't want to be corrected, or we can start making a new path and owning our lives and tapping into the earthly experience first with ourselves, because there's so much outside of us. Like, this experience in itself has so much that people can take away from. Like, there is theories and research and lyrics upon lyrics upon lyrics that have so many different meanings that we could spend probably a good month going into this. And I would use that same energy on all the changes that you want to see in your life, all the complaints that you have in your life. And I'm doing the same because hello. Hello, like, do you really want to be in a survival state forever? Do we not believe that our mindset has something to do with the captivity that we continue to exist in on all the sides? All right, so that's the end. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's think about it. Let's pull it together. Let's make it make sense. Until next time, hold on to you as much as you can. Hold on to your health, your well-being, and your mind. Bye.